Today I'm going to tell you about the worst riot in the history of Edinburgh and the brutal execution and lynching of the captain of the town guard, John Porteous. This is the story of the Porteous Riots of 1736. So where am I today? Well, I'm standing in the Grassmarket Square in Edinburgh's Old Town, and it's early September 2024. Now the event I'm going to be telling you about happened here on the 7th of September 1736, the Porteous Riot. But before we tell you about this, I've got to give you some background. So in 1707 we had the Union of the Crowns. England and Scotland joined together, and with this came a lot of extra taxation. And the most unpopular tax was the malt tax, which basically meant that alcohol became very expensive. So you had smugglers smuggling alcohol into the city, not paying the tax and selling it off at knockdown prices to the people of Edinburgh. So these smugglers were held in high regard by the Edinburgh citizens. They quite liked them. One of these smugglers was a man called Andrew Wilson. Now he was caught and sentenced to hang here in the Grassmarket in the April of 1736. The executions here in Edinburgh in those days were huge public events. It was public entertainment. So this square here would be full of people. And they'd be up in the windows, the high windows looking out, they'd be up on the rooftops looking down. The atmosphere must have been like a rock concert or a sports stadium. But because Andrew Wilson was so liked by the people of Edinburgh, the city guard anticipated some trouble at his execution. So the full city guard turned up here, fully armed at the execution in case anything went wrong. So they hanged Andrew Wilson, and as they were cutting his body down, people started throwing stones at the hangman and throwing stones at the city guard. Now John Porteous was the commander of the city guard, and he was hated by the Edinburgh population. He was regarded as a bit of a bully, John Porteous, and he told his men to fire their guns into the air to calm the crowd. But remember, people were in these windows up here watching the execution. So some of the bullets went into the windows and killed several people. And that made the crowd even angrier. The tension was already building, but this was even worse. So the city guard retreated up the West Bow up here, and the crowd followed them wanting revenge. So John Porteous told his men to fire their guns into the crowd, and 9 people were killed here that day. But that is not the Porteous riot. That happened later on. So what happened after this was John Porteous himself was arrested, put on trial for murder, sentenced to hang here in the Grassmarket, and he was going to be hanged here on the 8th of September 1736. But there was intervention from an English politician, and the execution was delayed. So rumour went round the city that John Porteous was going to get away with this. People thought Queen Caroline was going to give him a pardon. So the people of Edinburgh were not going to have this. And at 10 o'clock at night on the 7th of September 1736, 4,000 furious Edinburgh citizens stormed the Tolbooth jail where Porteous was being held. They overpowered the guard, and they found Porteous hiding in a chimney, wearing nothing but his nightshirt. So they dragged him out of the prison, they dragged him down the Old West Bow, down here to the Grassmarket, and they killed him in a brutal way. They broke into a shop here, and they got a length of rope, and they left a penny on the counter to pay for the rope. They weren't stealing it. And they strung him up here, and they cut him down before he was dead, and they stripped him naked. They put the nightshirt round his head. They then strung him up again, and they brought him down again. They broke several of his bones. They set his foot on fire. They strung him up again, down again, and they brutally beat him. And finally they strung him up for the last time and killed him. And this is where it happened, just about where I'm standing here. There's even a plaque on the wall here commemorating that. There it is there. And his body was found here in this alley the following morning. So that is the Porteous riot on the night of the 7th of September 1736. But we're going to go around the corner here because I want to show you the grave of John Porteous. So let's go to Greyfriars Kirkyard and see if we can find the grave. And here we go. This is the grave, the final resting place of John Porteous. His body was buried here the day after the Porteous riot. Now, the Westminster government were so outraged when they heard about this, they fined Edinburgh £2,000, and that money, I believe, went to Porteous's widow. So here is where he's laid to rest, in Greyfriars Kirkyard, John Porteous. And that was the story of the Porteous riots. Thank you for listening. Would be raining, wouldn't it?